Well, they got it's like they walk around on. Name one. Name one business. You know what? The bag place. What problem? The bag place. Is anybody? That's not how we go. Oh, that's not how we go. Starbucks. Justin got that. You had nothing to do with that. No, everybody take credit for what you did. Whatever. He tried to say he got Starbucks in here. I said Justin got that in here. I said he got Starbucks. He said Justin got Starbucks.
Hey, so that was the job.
See why?
I said that was the job.
They all paid.
I'll be up here.
Not believe it.
He wants to ask a question or how I done something stupid.
I didn't think you did it. I think somebody else did it. Okay, we'll talk about it later.
He tried by doing it, trying by asking.
We've been,
He's he shouldn't have been in it to start.
been in it 3 days. I can feel it down the center of my back and all through my shoulder.
He was told not to be in it.
They told me not to pick up over 10 pounds. They did not say don't get in the tractor with skids with it.
Power controls and everything else.
Yeah, but you weighs over 10 pounds. When you're rocking and jerking and jumping and talking about it.
The way I see it is good exercise.
As long as you don't undo anything that's been done, I remember.
He told me to screw it.
That's a good thing.
You ever seen a spit better straight?
I just hope HD's right here don't do that.
That's not a good job. I asked him one person, I said, you should, but that's what we were like. He said, we need to check on it. I can't do it. I get ready to eat up like I used to before. You know what time to eat. I'm the customer.
The one I got has to stay down and get worked on all.
We work on it twice a year, whether these are. I mean, excuse me, once every 2 years, whether these are.
It's thank you very much.
He told 6. Oh, he told 6. 10 balls too long, long faces.
I told him the last time we bought these still, I said, freezing them. I said, I like it. I like it. I said, if you had to put his name on there, it won't, it won't. But then he didn't get it done. So I just started looking at it. Yeah. I did so many tracks. My wife ain't no like over my business. I said, I can't get that anywhere. I got to say, I got to go. It's just to get DoorDash.
It's just one.
If you got DoorDash.
DoorDash.
anytime.
I don't got DoorDash.
Can't get no double.
We can get a bunch of chicken.
You can still get it. Somebody just gotta go pick it up. We don't
I
have
got DoorDash or something, was that something?
I don't even know how that works.
Back then, they used it all the time. I know you gotta be signed together. What kind of percentage is required?
Is that what they were?
Jim, you bitch like that with a bowl.
Exactly, yeah, right. Yeah, it's like a dead connection, exactly.
They were cooking me like that now.
I think you don't know which one you want. And I think you might be something else.
Do I get to sit here or do I have to get back? All right. Okay, well, if you prefer, I'll ease back there. But it won't no reserve on it. Won't nobody.
Hello, Gavin. Hey, how are you, sir? I called you. I needed something. I heard it. I need some Bibles.
Hey, how you doing?
Keith. These will be the number right there. Rest with it, Keith.
Short on the side. Either that or that's one of the one I had. I'm like, I don't know that technology. It's like how that switching
Thank you.
Okay, everybody in position. Okay, all right. So council, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the closed session and reconvene in open session.
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're now in open session. I would entertain a motion to certify the closed session by affirming that while in closed session, there was no formal action taken and that only public business matters lawfully exempted from opening meeting requirements were discussed, and only public business matters identified in the motions convening the closed session were heard, discussed, or considered. I would entertain a motion to certify this.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, Anna?
Fagan Spoon.
Yes.
Hardy.
Yes.
Honeycutt.
Yes.
Luster.
Yes.
Moody.
Yes.
Moss.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
And Tate.
Yes.
This concludes our special meeting, council. For those in the audience, I apologize, but I do want you to feel good that everything we've been working on is for the positive of our community, and I mean that sincerely. I would like to take a 5-minute break. Please allow us to take a 5-minute break. Those of you that are here in the chambers, and those watching us. So we will reconvene in 5 minutes. I promise. Okay. All right. Thank y'all for your patience.
can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. Hollywood couldn't make all these stories.
I'm sorry, I mean, not. How you doing? Sorry. Good to see y'all.
We agreed today. I know, but still the same person. I can put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig.
But you look so much better tonight.
It ain't in the feeling, though. It don't feel me. I put that front seat right there. You go everybody looking at you, thinking what you are, knowing what you are. All that stuff back here.
People sleep.
We can pass opinion on them then.
Did I unplug you? Hang on, I got you. What'd you do?
I'd like to call to order the South Hill Town Council regular meeting scheduled for Monday, May the 8th. Shall we pray? Our most graciously Heavenly Father, as we gather here tonight, dear Lord, let us truly be mindful of the many blessings that we have, dear Lord. And dear Lord, we're blessed to live in such a community that is supportive of one another, one that is looking out for the care of one another. And dear Heavenly Father, unfortunately there have been tragic, again, events this past week. Dear Heavenly Father, be with those families, lead them, guide them, direct them in such a way with your healing hand that will help them as they go through this part of their lives that is always disturbing. As we go forward tonight and in the future, dear Lord, guide us, lead us, help us, and make the decision that is right and blessing to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Executive Director Marion, I'm sorry. I think we'd be remiss as a council. Want to offer our condolences and our sympathy to Dolores Luster in the passing of her sister. So I know I'm speaking for all of us to say, kept you in our prayers and are thinking about you during this difficult time, and we're here for you if you need us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And y'all have been most kind, and I know I have felt the prayers and the support, and I do appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. We love you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, roll call, ma'am.
Lily Fagan Spoon.
Here.
Ashley Harden.
Here.
Gavin Honeycutt.
Present.
Dolores Luster.
Here.
Mike Moody.
Here.
Shep Moss.
Here.
Michael Smith.
Here.
And Joseph Taylor.
Here.
Okay, thank you, Alan. Okay, council, in your packet was the agenda for well, no, excuse me, in your packet tonight is your agenda for the May 8th, 2023 meeting. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Council, I would like to read to you the following. This is in regards to our police department proclamation May 14th through 20th, 2023 as Police Week. Whereas there are approximately 900,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the South Hill Police Department. And whereas nearly 59,000 assaults against law enforcement officers are reported each year, resulting in approximately 16,677 injuries. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1791, over 23,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty. And whereas the names of those dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas 556 names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 619 officers killed in 2022 and 332 killed in previous years. And whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed a proclamation which designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which that date falls as Police Week. Now therefore be it proclaimed that Dean Marion, Mayor of the town of South Hill, Virginia, hereby designates May 14th through 20th, 2023 as Police Week in the town of South Hill, Virginia, and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation. Signed this day, May 2023, South Hill, Virginia. Thank you. Okay. And I want to recognize our chief who is here tonight and his wife. Thank you for being here tonight. Next on the agenda is citizens to address council. And we're going to go by the list of the signature, but let me ask this for clarity. Again, I'm going to call out the name of each individual that's signed up. If you have signed up in reference to the public hearing on the budget, will you defer till we get to that point? But I'm just asking now, I'm just asking for clarity. So if I may ask you to defer to that. So I'm going to call the name, and all I'm asking is if you will defer if that is the case. If it's something other than the budget, then we will address it now as far as citizens to address council. That's okay. Okay? So the first on the list, I'm not going to leave anyone out. The first on the list is Biddy Freeman.
Yeah, I defer.
You defer till later. We'll come back to you, sir. Okay, the next one is Justin Smith.
Yes, sir.
You defer, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then I won't leave anybody out. Okay. Bob Tanner.
Defer.
Okay. Wade Crowder.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. My name is Wade Crowder. I know y'all wonder why I'm dressed up. I'm playing the part. I'm gonna run for town manager. So I want to see what it felt like to sit up there in that chair in a suit. It's not a good feeling. God, it's hot up there. Okay, now we passed that. We got a problem. You got a problem. No, the town has a problem. The town manager now is doing all he can do, but it's cover up here in this town. They cover up stuff. Flip the bobcat, cover it up. When I run a business, you mash your finger, we report it. Flip a bobcat, you cover it up. That ain't the way you're supposed to do it. The ones that covered it up knew it had to be reported, but they're going by the old habits. That got to be corrected before anything else is corrected in town. Now come find out the water tank, ever since November, been empty at Circle Drive. That should have been fixed right off, but I can understand why, $300,000 and they don't want to show it at the end of the year as a expense, so that way they might get more money. That should have been reported, and it should have been passed on to the new town manager. New town manager didn't know nothing about it till last month. Now, this is cover up. It's not going to get any better in town long as As long as it keeps on doing like that, the town manager can't take care of his business and the town gets a bad name. Who wants to come to a town that don't even have a water tank full of water? We never would have known if TJ Maxx wouldn't have come in here and didn't have enough water pressure to test the water system. Cover up. I come every month. And I can't make this stuff up. I mean, it just pops up. I ran a little one-house business one time, but I never had this kind of pop-up. I didn't have that many people. But I never had this kind of pop-up, buddy. Whew. And when I did, I took care of it. Satisfy the customer. Don't do nothing else. Satisfy the customer. We are the customers. All of us over here are the customers. Y'all work for us. I feel sorry for you. But you agreed to it. And I tried to run for it. And I agreed to it. But it's something that needs to be done with the cover up in South Hill. Sweep it under the rug, pass it off, put it off the next time, and it's not getting done. Water lines bad, sewer lines bad. They've been bad for the last 15 years. Once manhole over here in town, water runs in it 24 hours a day. They got a spigot inside the manhole, and they cut the water on, and it runs 24 hours a day. Y'all didn't know that. Reason they do that to keep the water moving in the water pipes. I took the top off one day and saw the water spigot. Now the manhole stop up, sewer come up in there, water cuts off, backflow, all that sewage coming into the water system. It just ain't the way you do business.
Okay. Okay. And I'm being respectful. Bradley? Last name is Bradley?
Eddie Bradley was here, but he went out.
He left. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Kim? Harper? Yes. I'm sorry. I'm trying.
Is my writing that bad?
No. It's age and eyes, ma'am.
Is that what it is?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, firstly, thank you for allowing me to speak, but I would like to bring to you all an idea or a suggestion for Pettistown residents as well as Hollydale, and I would like very much to see this to become a golf cart community. Why? Our second home actually is located in a golf cart community, and the camaraderie and the neighbor interaction is far superior than what I've seen in other neighborhoods and where we have had second homes. And with us becoming permanent residents again in this particular area, I think this would be a great addition for the South Hill community.
Okay. All right. And thank you for your time.
Sure.
And the staff will take that under advisement.
Perfect.
Is that okay?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Thank you.
Kim King? If you'll come up to the mic and state your name, please.
Kim King. I'm here on behalf of South Hill Revitalization Committee. And our committee has been working on getting a mural for the other side of town over there on West Danville Street coming into town. We have tried to get something up a welcoming sign at every entrance of town where people are coming in. And we have been actually working on this particular mural for about 5 years, right close to 5 years, because when we started on it back here a few years ago, right before COVID, it didn't go anywhere. So we have that as a sample of what it looks like, and the plan is to put it on the building there right beside the horseshoe, the building when you're where Sean's building is. It's supposed to go on that side. What you have there, I wish we could have pulled it forward so you could see the detail in that, but that was emailed to me and it was superimposed on the side of the building. Sean wants it in the smaller section, so that's a little bit off. And it'll be a smaller sign, but it'll be the same detail. And we have put together a group of, we're working with Ray Cherry, the art teacher at Mecklenburg High School, and he and his students have agreed to paint the mural. It's going to be on separate pieces. It's going to be done in pieces, and it'll be mounted on the wall. You know, at first we talked about doing a mural on the brick. That's a little difficult to do, and it doesn't hold up very well, and we want something that's going to last for a while. So we used this mural. We tried to get all of the things that we felt like we started with before, past, present, and future. Well, when we started it, we didn't have our hospital yet. We didn't have our high school yet. So we were going to do that. Well, it ended up, by the time we got to it, all those were already built. So we tried to include all of the things that we felt like were important to our community. And as you can see, if you look on here, Whittle's Mill is represented. It's a little ways out of town, but it's a great place to take your family and enjoy some time there. Farmers markets represented, the hospital, the high school, Colonial Theater, the South Hill Chamber is there, and so is the playground that we felt like was a very inclusive playground, which is something that I think I'm very proud of. Our girls worked hard to get that here. And also the ballpark. If you see, there's a little ballpark there. So we tried really hard to put something together that when people came, they would see a representation of our town. So that's why you see so many different people there. The farmers market is there. And this doesn't do it justice. I do have it on my phone, and I'd love to show it to you. But
All right. Thank you.
the question is, hopefully you guys will approve that for us.
And discussion, CJ has that as a discussion item on his report.
So we can ask some questions at that point.
Yes.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Chad Solomon. Can you come up to the mic and state your name, please, sir?
Okay. How y'all doing, Z?
Good evening.
I was here last month, again in protest, Pomp Boys Motors. First of all, I'd like to extend my condolences to the tragedies that you mentioned before. And it's commendable when you start out with that prayer. That shows me this is a wise counsel, and you take things into consideration with thought. So I'm here again because some things were said last time by Tony Pompliano that were not true in regards to my case with my car. I did not try to deceive my own insurance company or warranty company. That was Vivian Pompliano. I have all of the evidence there, the story that she made up in order to retrieve money from my companies in order to pay themselves. Okay, they tried to claim that what happened during my accident caused my engine failure when the actual investigator determined it was mechanical failure. So, given that, and also, I guess Tony Pompliano was really concerned about who goes first and who goes last. That doesn't matter when the evidence is heavily weighed against you. I'm not here because I'm mad about getting cheated out of, my car or any money. I was also accused of selling a debt and selling my car, which made no sense. I'd already spent $30,000 for the upgrades of my car. When I found out I was being scammed, I said, you know what? I told Vivian, my last words to Vivian, God doesn't like ugly, and he's going to handle you in his own way. What I did, I went out with the money I was supposed to pay her and bought my own Mustang, another Mustang, right off the lot for $36,000. That was the money that I was going to pay to her. I was going to pay her $20,000, which she originally agreed to. Then she came up with this cockamamie story about somebody wanted to buy my car and we'll fix it up and we'll sell it to you for $35,000 upping the price and all this other stuff. I said, you know, I don't have time for all that. I see what you're doing. And I just hated it took me so long to understand what you're doing. But when you got the state attorney general, and you've got two major law groups, you've got the FBI, you've got sheriffs, the city cops, all these people, the DMV after you, those are several red flags. So I just ask God to just continue to guide you in your decisions, your wise decisions, so that you'll make the best decisions for your community. And I wouldn't be driving up here in a whole hour from Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina, is where I live, if I didn't feel it was necessary, you know? So that's what I had to share with you again. And there's nothing else I can say. It's up to you. I'm pretty sure, like I said, you're a wise counsel. You'll make the best decision for your community. And you'll see what's gonna happen on the other side when all these charges come to fruition and they get the justice that they deserve. And I hope the people that were all victims get what they deserve as well. Okay? Thank you. Thank y'all.
Okay, council. So we'll get into item 5, which will be the public hearing in regards to the proposed fiscal year 23-24 budget rates and fees. Okay. So what I'd like to do first is to begin the review of the summary of the overall budget. I would ask council to watch the monitor. Any questions or comments that you may have, hold them till we get to the discussion part. So in summary, we're showing the general fund budget, and you can see there our general fund budget, our cemetery budget, our water and sewer, and the total town budget.
To the right.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's try this. There we go. We'll try that. How's that? All right, always have plan B. So these were the challenges of the council, and I want to go back and express to everybody my appreciation to the staff, to the people, their participation, their energy level, and whatnot. Also, I want to compliment our council. We had a little over 17 hours invested in this exercise. It was new to us and new to the council, and I think the general overall feeling was it was very productive. We gained a lot of insight and input and participation. So again, I want to thank the council and the staff for their due diligence in this process. These are some of the key elements and challenges the council and the staff found as we went through this process. And again, I'm just going to go over it. I'm not rushing. I don't want anyone to feel like they're being rushed. We looked at our supply chain. We looked at our health insurance cost, our recruitment and retention. We looked at our infrastructure. And I think what's going to be apparent to everyone is that we have, as a town, just like any other major city, we have challenges with our water and sewer. We talked about our major facility projects. We're going to talk a little bit about our cigarette tax proposal increase, our lodging tax increase, our rezoning requests, zoning variances, and special exemption request rate increase, our water and sewer rate increase, our water sewer connection fee increase, and finally our leachate disposal rate increase. This is the general fund, and hopefully everyone can see with the monitors basically what we're looking at in the general fund. What you're looking at is what we approved in 2023 in the left column, and in the right column is what the proposed is. And we're going to delve into this a little bit more. Again, just the changes in each of the venues. Start out with general fund capital expenditures. Again, just an overview. We're looking at replacing one of our cars. This is an ongoing process that the council adopted where we replace and work with our fleet. So this is an ongoing thing. As far as our fire department goes, this part of the capital expenditure was alerting pagers. The second item is a fire apparatus piece of equipment that's going to be phased over the next 3 years. This is a part of an agreement we have with the fire department in order to continue enhancements of our fire department. We're looking as far as in good faith, working with the supplier of the apparatus. So this has truly been a joint effort, and from a budgetary standpoint, we're looking at spreading it over for 3 years. Street maintenance. This is something that is an ongoing thing. Currently, we have estimated expenditures on the forest, sunset stormwater. That is in place for the future. And of course, a trench roller, which will enhance our capability of our public works as far as leveling out when you see sporadic pavement or whatnot going on in the town. As far as our fleet maintenance go, we're looking at a truck extended replacement and looking for a ceiling fan that will go into the maintenance department. Public Works building is in process. We've got a concrete pad, we've got a steel structure, so that's in process. And I'll come back, the police department renovations, that is an ongoing process. We're looking at the options on what will best suit our needs for our police department for the future. One of the things that needs to be addressed from a standpoint of safety is our town hall rear steps, and also the furnishings for our new public works building that I referred to earlier. Parks and grounds. We're looking at, there's been a more generated interest in our tennis courts. We're also looking at adapting those as well from a standpoint of pickleball. That's been one of the things that we've heard in the community as a need. So we have revisited that. And then also in our parks and ground was the purchase of a gator device for our personnel. The point that I think is important to the public is that overall you're looking at a capital expenditure of over $5.7 million. But the key component of that, ladies and gentlemen, is that 5.1 is a carryover. So basically this council, in their endeavors to manage the budget and the dollars, you're only looking at approximately $600 and some odd thousand of true new capital investment for the upcoming year. So I give credit to the staff and to council in this process that we did with our work sessions to make this presentation in regards to the general fund. General fund rates. Again, I want to reiterate the council. There was a lot of discussion, a lot of constructive discussion. And I think from a standpoint of sincerity and compassion to our citizens, there is no increase in the real estate and personal property tax or the machine and tool. I will highlight that from a meals tax that remains the same. The council is recommending an increase in the lodging tax. The council is also advocating a cigarette tax increase. If you go down through, the other thing is the rezoning request. You see that increase. What we have found is in our code compliance department is that we're finding that it's getting more and more challenging in communicating to people and landowners. And we have to do our due diligence in reaching out to those people. If we're not successful or whatever, we may have to repeat. So that is the reason for that increase there, is just from a communication standpoint, in order to communicate to the landowners or whatnot going forward, the overall increase in expense in doing that requirement. Water and sewer. We look at this, again, you see that what was approved last year and what we have proposed. And you can see here the proposed as far as water distribution, sewer collection, and the wastewater treatment plant. On capital expenditures, again, you see there what we're looking at, and I cannot reiterate more. This is going to be an ongoing process, ladies and gentlemen, for the future. It's going to take place in my generation and our children's generation from our town standpoint, because again, we're looking at very vintage water and sewer throughout our town. And this is based on the current needs of what we need to be looking at currently. Sewer collection. This is a process that we're ongoing right now. Basically what we're doing is we're going through and we're doing analysis. We're trying to be better prepared on what lines, sewer lines, water lines that need to be repaired. The sewer extension we talk about here, the pump station that we desperately need, the sewer rehabilitation, and of course the upgrades on the electrical controls, which are important for the Mountain Creek and Taylor Creek pump stations. And then finally, the wastewater treatment plant. This is a filtering device that is required. And then our truck needs to be replaced because it's short trips, but it's very repetitive as far as handling the processed waste once it's gone through its process. I want to highlight again to council and to the citizens here that are by way of YouTube is that our capital expenditures total up to 7.3, but this including this is 5.0 million in carryover. So basically the council again has aggressively looked at the capital expenditures that were requested, ones that felt like were needing immediate attention. And so basically you're looking at about a 2.3 really request for capital expenditures for the upcoming year. Water and sewer rates. As I mentioned earlier, we as a council, or the council is proposing an increase. This would give you an example of what that would look like for 2024, and you can see there. As I mentioned earlier, the leachate rate. That is a process that we do as a service to our surrounding communities to process their waste. And this is what was a method of increase that we felt that was warranted. The connection fees, and I'll get into a little bit more of that. The connection fees, we're regressing back to what the council had agreed upon a year ago. We're basically enacting those fees in place going forward as we were said that we would do, I think approximately last August or September. This is a little bit small in print, but it gives you an idea of how a resident would be affected by the water and sewer rates. If you look at the first three columns, typically that is the residential. That will affect basically residential. Those of us that are basically, month in and make out. So it will give you an idea of what the rates are and what the sewer charge would be and the monthly increase. So I'm not asking you to focus on anything, but if I did, it would be the first three columns. Typically that would cover our base as far as residential and the increase that our citizens would see with this proposal. Water connection fees. We have had discussions on this. We put this slide together to sort of give everybody an idea of surrounding areas because again, the council and the staff have done due diligence in looking at surrounding areas to just make sure that we are in line. So again, hopefully you can see with our monitors that are those of you that by way of YouTube, you can see what South Hill is and then the comparison. It may be a little, for reference, you notice the Roanoke River, you see two numbers. In doing our due diligence, we learned from the Roanoke River Association that the 2500 is on one side of the road. If it's on the other side of the road, they have an added charge. So that is the difference in those two numbers that you see there. But again, you can see the other areas and comparable on what their connection fees is and their total. And then this is a comparison of the sewage connection fees. You see the state average, you see what the town of South Hill is doing, and you see the other comparable areas that are around us. And then this is basically a breakdown of the expense distribution that we are seeing in the town day in and day out. Again, I can't underemphasize the amount of investment in water and sewer. And honestly, I can tell you going forward, that's what we as a community are going to see. It's going to be an ongoing process. It's going to be like a marathon. It's really not going to have a finish line. This is going to be an ongoing process. We take into account the areas that are worse. We take into account the complaints. We take in what makes sense for us. We also try to team it up with other things that may involve curbing or whatever. So we really try to do a good, diligent work and coordinating many efforts at one time when we do these water and sewer upgrades. Okay. Now, what I would like to do is open up the public hearing for the proposed budget rates and fees. A notice of this was published in April 26th edition of the South Hill Enterprise to inform interested parties that the town council will hear comments regarding the proposed budget rates and fees for fiscal year 23-24. Council will also receive comment on any budget-related ordinance. So I officially open the public hearing, and if I may, I want to go in the order that people signed up for, but that deferred. That's okay with everybody. So first, I would ask Biddy Freeman to come to the mic, state your name, sir, and address council.
Good evening, councilmans. Thank y'all for having me, Biddy Freeman. And I just wanted to touch base tonight on the water and sewer tap fees that we discussed almost a year ago. And we came in and y'all deferred them back to the old rate. And at that time, it was stipulated or said that we were going to do something about giving the developers a reduced rate for multiple hookups if we were doing multiple single-family housing units. Have we done anything about that, or are we just still going to be capped at $5,000? Because I did a lot of investigating on what it costs for the water and sewer taps, the materials themselves, and you're looking at roughly $1,127 for water and sewer tap parts. Everything else above that is just going to be labor to put these in. So has anybody has anybody come up with anything as far as the reduced rates for us with multiple units?
And I would say, sir, again, from your standpoint, it's a public, comments. The council, when we get to the discussion part, may or may not choose to address that question. But I just want to let you know, at this point, it's just public comments on the budget. And we want to hear those comments.
Because, as we're looking at this, and I know the other guys couldn't make it with some of this notice, but, per house that we put in, on average, and this is a low average, by the time you get the 2 vehicles that are going to be at each residency and the real estate tax on the house, you're looking at roughly $1,800 a year. That's just for the town. That's not including what the county gets. So, I mean, at 10 houses, that's 18 grand a year. In 10 years, that's 180,000. So that's a lot of revenue that's coming in for the town. Not to mention that, we're some of the guys that are going or putting our head on the chopping block, if you will, borrowing the money to put these together. And everybody's screaming housing, housing, housing. We need housing. And, we're putting our families on the line, trying to develop these things for our living, hopefully, that'll make it. And we feel like we're paying very high rates as far as the install. Now, I know what you're talking about other municipalities or whatever, but, when you're looking at a cost basis of $1,127 in parts, and now you're talking about going to $5 grand, that's $3,700, roughly 38, whatever it is, in labor to put the water sewer taps in. That's a lot. Is it, are we able to put them in? Can we have our people put them in and then turn them over to the town? If that be a situation we are, but we've got to try to do something to combat this, just like what we've got coming up. I mean, probably somewhere in the 38 to 40 more property range over the next 3 years. That's a lot of money. When you're talking about doubling all this, it's a lot of money for us to absorb when we're looking at these cost figures. And these cost figures were gotten from the same place that the town gets their stuff from. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I'm sorry, real
If
quick.
I may just make notes, if I may add. Okay. And I'm going in order, but then anyone else? Justin Smith?
How y'all doing? Justin Smith with Quickview. Now, I wanted to speak on 2 things. One is the cigarette tax increase. I know when we done it in 2017, some of y'all were here then. I was against it then. I'm still against it now, naturally. At that time, we were operating 3 locations in the town limits. We're currently at least 2 of them, but we're still operating 1 of them. One of the stores was primarily a cigarette location. That's pretty much all it sold. That was the old petrol station. That store took a significant decrease in sales when the cigarette tax was enacted. I've since leased it out. I would hate to see it take another hit because, even though I'm not operating it, still collecting rent on it. So I would hate to see it take another hit. The store across the street from town office here was another one that took a pretty big hit. That's also now leased out. But you know, it's hard to have a cigarette tax inside of town, and then you can turn around and go right outside of town to Broadnax, outside of town limits, Bracy, or wherever, and there's no tax. You know, it's not like it's a statewide tax or, you know, overall tax for everybody. It's just in the town of South Hill, and we have a lot of stores on the outskirts of town that are not affected by this, and it really hurts the ones in town when it's easy to go out of town and get it. The other was the water increase. I don't know what y'all's, you know, cost basis is on it and how much that affects things, but you know, we operate the car washes in town also, and you know, water's our probably biggest expense in utilities month to month, and I'd hate to see that increased again also, because then that just, you know, pushes it on down the line, which we've had soap increases and everything else over the last 2 years, especially since all the COVID crap. But you know, I would hate to see the water increased also. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the list, Robert Bobtown.
Good evening. My name is Bob Tanner, and I think everybody here knows who I am. And of course, I'm going to speak on the cigarette tax proposal. The taxes that the town placed into their budget and passed back in 2017, you know, were unpopular then, but I know you had to have something. Since then, the first full fiscal year, the town took in $360,270 on the taxes collected for cigarettes. The next year, it dropped 5%. The following year, it dropped 28%. As Justin just alluded to and everything, the stores we were running, people were finding other sources for their cigarettes. Any type of habit item like that, whether it's a cold beer on the way home, cigarettes, cigar, whatever. But cigarettes, of course, have taken some other hits. In the 5 full years that the town has had the cigarette tax, the revenue has dropped 47% from that beginning year. I looked at the figures. I did ask the town office for some figures. They graciously sent them to me. This year they're on pace to collect around $200,000, which is much lower than that $360,000 from 5 years ago. We all know that people, when it comes to a habit item, they're going to look for the cheapest thing they can find at the cheapest location. So many people do travel into town to work, get their supplies, buy their groceries, different things, that they stop. And while they're there, they may be buying their meat snack and cold drink. They may be buying their potato chips. They may be getting their beer to go fishing, any of those things. But when they get into the habit of finding that cheapest price on that habit product, then they start going to that place and they're picking up all that other stuff. And if that happens to be outside the town limits of South Hill, then that hurts us all. It hurts every form of tax that we have. It hurts the sales, hurts revenues. And of course, as everybody knows, that the last few years haven't been real easy on any type of business, between recruitment and retention and other things. So my thing would be, I would ask that, I see you have a lot of different increases in your budget this year. So hopefully you can see fit to lessen or eliminate the cigarette rise completely. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, we are still under open public hearing. Are there others who have comments in regards to the proposed budget rates and fees that would like to speak?
All I got to say is quit throwing money away. You don't have to keep going up on prices. Quit buying stuff and building stuff. You don't have to go up on all this stuff. Live within your budget. That's all I got to say.
Hearing is still open. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing. Council, we have two motions that are in front of you.
Would you like to have both motions separate or together?
Separate.
I move to place the proposed budget for fiscal year 23-24 on the agenda for adoption and appropriation at the regular scheduled town council meeting to be held on June 12, 2023 at 7 p.m. at the South Hill Town Hall.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
Right, so,
Among council.
Okay.
Yeah, but please, please.
May I-
Excuse me, since everybody wanted this, okay.
It's going to be extremely difficult to address just one motion without getting into the second motion on rates and fees.
Okay.
So would it be proper to also go ahead and give both motions and then a general discussion? Can't do that?
No, you need to have a single motion for the body.
For each one?
Yes.
So if I may help, on the first one is adoption and appropriation to be discussed. Are there any questions in regards to that motion or discussion? I think, Anna, we have a motion and a second.
Yes, regarding the proposed budget.
Any discussion in regards to the first motion?
So again, for clarification, budget, rates, fees, it encompasses everything that these persons brought forward tonight.
Mm-hmm.
The first motion is on the budget, the second one will be on the rates and fees.
But it's not separated like that. It's my problem. It is listed under letter A under one motion. Letter B is a request by GWP Developers, LLC to rezone parcels of land.
Not one motion, one item.
Okay.
A public hearing for the proposed budget, rates and fees. But it's two motions. It's required to be two motions.
Well, that's not the way it was listed, and that was not the way it was given to me when I opened my board docs. So, yeah.
May it please the council, for clarification, the motion on the floor now is based upon the proposed rates and fees. If the council so desires to approve the current motion, which has been seconded, that will allow us to get to the second motion coming up to then discuss rates and fees, since they are two separate items.
Well, actually, that brings up a question by me. The motions actually are to place them on the agenda for appropriation on June 12th.
Yeah.
I don't think this, just so you understand.
No, I'm with you.
I don't think that, I mean, the council can discuss whatever it wants, but in terms of a discussion by the council, I think that would be appropriate at a June meeting. We're simply placing it on the agenda in June. That's the language of the motion, of both motions.
Okay. And Madam Clerk, can you come and show me where the two it's listed under A?
It's actually in your packet. It's in your packet under the report for the public hearing.
The top of the page says public hearing.
And I'm gonna read letter A for clarification. Proposed FY 2023-24 budget rates and fees -- Dean Marion. Okay. Okay.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this?
I will defer my comments or my questions, hopefully, I will discuss it to the council, but it will address some of the concerns that the people have had that have come forward. And I will wait and do that under the next motion.
Okay, all right.
If that's okay.
Okay. Roll call, Anna?
Fagan Spoon?
Yes.
Hardy?
Yes.
Honeycutt?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Moody?
Yes.
Moss?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Anna. Okay, council, in regards to the second motion.
Second motion. I move to place the proposed rates and fees related to the fiscal year 23-24 budget on the agenda for adoption at the regular scheduled town council meeting to be held June 12, 2023 at 7 p.m. at Southfield Town Hall.
Second.
Okay.
Discussion.
Yes, please, if I may.
Yes.
So I want to go back and discuss amongst us, but people are here, so this is a public setting, they'll be able to hear me. I know you want to make sure my mic is on. I have some, and again, I want to go back and say we had an excellent work session. The 17 hours were grueling, but it needed to take place, and it was wonderful. I felt better than I have in 2.5 years sitting up here at the relationships that all of us had that were here for all of those sessions. So I appreciate you all. Hindsight is 20/20. I know that looking back at this budget, and this is just one area in the taps, that, had I have been here longer, I wish we could have had it to where we took a little bump at a time that we did not hit you all, boom. Again, I know that was brought up that, everybody knew what was coming this year. I appreciate that too. But unfortunately, and I made every one of those budget hearings. I just know the way that things have been done, that Gavin couldn't run Gavin's House of Flowers like that and stay in business. We've heard the word cluster. We've heard many other adjectives referred to in our budget, and it is not sustainable. And this board, this council had to make the decision to make it sustainable moving forward. Meaning that we had to take some necessary avenues, in my opinion, and it did not come lightly. And we are where we are, and we can't look back, but we can move forward. And I am going to be as physically responsible in my businesses as I am representing my constituents in my ward, because that's why I was elected here to do that. Again, going back to the part about, the tap fees, I hate it. We should have done it a little bit along the way, but it goes back to our infrastructure issues that we're having, our sewer and our water. I couldn't have stayed in my business the last almost 26 years and not done anything to my building and expect it to stand or keep standing. That requires some money. We have had water and sewer issues, in my opinion, for a very long time that have been band-aided. And now is the time that this council's got to do something about it. And unfortunately, it's going to take some money to do that, and we're going to have to figure out where we start with that. We are where we are. I empathize with what you said. The cigarette tax, the same way. I just wanted you to know where I was coming from as far as those things are concerned.
Yeah, we're still under the discussion stage.
Regarding the water and sewer hookups, we'll start with that. As we all know, most of us know here, what took place last year, and was not brought out thoroughly during the public work session, and the local contractors kind of got stuck with it at the last minute and didn't fully understand it like a lot of people did not. And unfortunately, the cost of that was not a major concern to the contractor. It was the way that they found out about it, that if a contractor, developer, whomever, had started a home or a residence to be built in the spring of last year and then went in July the 2nd or July the 3rd to get the hookups, they got doubled up on it. And they had not prepared for that. That was not in their budget. And that's why the council decided, no, we're going to suspend that and we're going to look at it again this budget year, which is what we did. And we tried to look at it from every viewpoint that we could. I think it's very safe to say that nobody likes to have any kind of an increase on any kind of a rate, tax rate, water rate, whatever you want to call it. Nobody wants to have it. But the town functions off of revenues. We have to buy water. The town does. We have to pay for it. When their rates go up, ours go up. However, in this time, their rates stayed the same for this year, but ours had to go up because we have not done any water and sewer hookup increases since 1991. The cost to the town was a little over $2,800, and as you can see up there that was shown, it's still below what many localities are charging. It's below the state average. We don't like it, but we have to do it and able to keep up with what's going on with the cost to the town. Water and sewer hookups, they're costing the town, and we're still going to lose money. As far as for the multiple dwellings being put up that was referred to, we looked at that, and one of the concerns was a safety factor that if a developer or a private contractor has to hook in to the water line, we have to block off the street. You have to be worried about that. And with the town, it's much easier for us to do it and economical for us to do it because the developer's going to have to arrange for the street to be blocked off. You're going to have safety personnel over there, particularly if they're working on the other side of the street where the meter hookup might be. So we looked at all of that. And at that time, we just felt that it would be better for everybody involved to go with the hookup increase for this year. We looked at different methods of increasing revenue for the town. One of them that we looked at was a real estate increase this year. We haven't had one since 2000, I think it's 2004. We, the council, did not feel it would be appropriate to put a real estate tax increase on the citizens of South Hill at this particular time regarding the status of what everybody's going through economically. We chose not to do that to the citizens. However, we still had to come up with revenues for the future. Not only now, but for the future. And that's why we had to go, and we're recommending the water sewer increases, the hookup increases, cigarette tax increase. As a lot of us know that we started out at 15 cents a pack. That was the vehicle that was used by the town to help the police officers when they retired. It went toward the LEO. As you well know, and it was brought up by Mr. Tanner, our revenues have continued to decrease every single year, tremendously. We're like over $200,000 down right now from cigarette tax at this stage from last year, from the beginning. We have to make that revenue up. Again, we didn't want to go up on real estate taxes. We felt that we could do it with a 10-cent per pack increase, which 10 packs in a carton, that is $1 a carton. And if somebody wishes to drive out of town 3, 4, 5 miles and spend $4 or $5 extra dollars at the cost of gas, or $3 or whatever it is, to save that $1, that can be their choice. We hate to lose that business, but that is reality. They're going to spend more to drive out of town to get it and come back. Now, if they're going to stop in that store on the way home, that's a no-brainer. But if you're in a local store in South Hill and you want a carton of cigarettes or a pack of cigarettes, you're going to save money by still buying it in South Hill, even though our revenues are continuing to go down. I think I'll let somebody else talk for a while. Yes, sir.
Clarity, Councilman Moody.
Please.
Also, just again to reiterate, I think you listed off all the increases.
Yes, sir.
As we mentioned earlier, was the leachate, make reference to that, and
Yes, sir.
also the lodging.
Okay. Leachate, in case you wonder what leachate is, it comes from a landfill. It's the water runoff from the landfill that it goes down and it accumulates. And if they don't collect it, it goes into the ground and it contaminates the ground. And it could be anything that you can think of in a landfill. If you think about it, whatever you throw away, it goes into a big pile at the landfill. And when it rains on it, it's got to go somewhere. So you're required to collect it and dispose of it properly. South Hill is very fortunate that we have the facilities that we can dispose of it. There are several localities that bring their leachate to the town of South Hill. We dispose of it for them, and we charge them to dispose of it because they don't have the facilities to do it, and it would cost them too much more money to take it somewhere else. We happen to be convenient for them to bring it to us. The leachate increased, I think it's 0.3%. It's going to be approximately $40,000 a year revenue. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it's going to help offset the cost of us collecting it and then having to dispose of it. On the lodging, again, we looked at the real estate tax increase. We looked at that hard. We looked at it real hard. But we felt that the lodging going up 1%, which is 1 cent, would be approximately $135,000 extra in revenue. We did not want to pass an increase on to the citizens of South Hill. Those who are in the hotel business, they know how the system works as far as what is required by the state, what they can do after a 90-day period. That's all laid out. As far as the occupancy tax and that lodging tax is concerned. That would be $135,000. The estimated revenue on the cigarette tax, I believe I'm right, is $138,000. That is going to help us offset the cost because as the salaries go up for police officers, salaries go up, benefits go up, the cost to the town goes up, and we have to offset it somehow. And we felt that the cigarette tax was the best way to do it at this particular stage. Did I leave out anything?
So,
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yeah, discussion.
Biddy, I heard you say, could you give your cost again for the supplies? I was writing a lot of notes and I missed it. $837?
Roughly $727 for a water hookup. That's the saddle, the box lid, the meter, the cellar, and $100 miscellaneous little short piece of pipe and some fittings. And your sewer is just piping and elbows, so you're somewhere between $300 and $400 for sewer pipe. Because worst case scenario, if you just got just crazy stupid with it, would be $1,500 in materials alone.
In materials alone. Because we were in our workshops, and by the way, so everybody knows, our work sessions are open to the public. And we had six of them, 20 hours of this. But we were told $2,800 cost, and that's if it's not on the other side of the road. It's a big difference, CJ, so I'm trying to take both sides into account. It's a big, wide range in numbers.
We did see prices increase quite a bit, and 2,800 is more reasonable as to what we're seeing.
And as far as the multiple hookup discounts, I remember talking about that, but I also requested back in August, for contractors to bring us a list of 3, 4, 5 things that we can look at. And as of today at 8:30, I ain't gotten one.
We were told to go to a meeting, and we went to the workshop.
All right. So again, discussion part is within council members.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I just wanted to verify that cost. And, for the council.
We were told to go to the workshop, and we did that.
So for the council members that weren't here, we spent a lot of time debating the cigarette tax, a lot of time. And the concern that I have for our stores that sell a lot of cartons, now it's an increased cost of inventory for them. It's more money for them to buy the stamps. And as you can see, the revenue is steadily declining as has been brought to our attention. And we looked at that. I did have some research sent to me from the city of Franklin, where they appear to have gone to the well one too many times, where their cigarette sales have really just plummeted because they continue to go up, and go up. And, you know, I've spoken with a couple of store owners that have strong concerns, especially with carton sales. The 10 cent a pack, I don't think is that big of a deal, but I can see the carton sales that gets multiplied exponentially, especially with volume. So I do think that's something that that's got to really be considered before another increase could ever be considered. And that was mainly the notes that I wrote down. I still think even if these rates and fees pass, a multiple hookup discount is something that this council still can work on off of the new rates and fees.
Yeah, and I think that is something that the council, the future council can look at. And as stated, the multiple thing, we can certainly take a look at that and see if something can be worked out. And we understand the cigarette taxes have been going, the revenue has been going down. And if they continue to go down, this council will have to come up with another way to pick up the revenues, and we understand that. However, at this particular stage of where the town is, with everything that's going on, with the infrastructure, trying to take care of the citizens as far as taxes are concerned, real estate taxes, we felt that this was the best way for this to be dealt with right now. In the future, we're going to have a whole lot of tough decisions to make again.
Going to be tough.
It's going to be tough. We understand that. And we will have to deal with it at the time that it comes up, as we always do. And we, to the best of our ability, this council is dealing with it right now with what we are faced for the future. So then.
And Councilor Moody, I would like to piggyback a little bit because you mentioned real estate tax increase. And I know, and if you'll correct me if I'm wrong, there was a lot of discussion on real estate tax increase. And that goes back to my point of where we are budgetarily and what we're going to face in the future. It's coming. It's coming. You know, I don't want it to come. You know, I own 3 buildings in town, so that's, 3. And it's got to come in a point in time where, you know, we've got to be fair to all players involved. And, you know, I will say to the public that I was a proponent of it this year to move forward with that because, again, you know, I'm looking at the budget, looking at what we had to do, what we had to cut, we had to put here and there, and some tough decisions are going to have to be made before next year. So I want everybody to be aware of what's coming.
Yeah. And to go along with that, the council looked at the real estate tax increase. If we were to go up, South Hill, I think it's 34 cents on the 100 right now.
Yes, correct.
Which is pretty low compared to many other localities this size in the Commonwealth. If we went up 1 cent, that is about $40,000 to $50,000 extra in revenue. And $40,000 to $50,000 is a lot of money. But when you're dealing with a budget this size, you got to go a little bit more to pick up revenues. And you know, you could easily go 5, 6 cents up to 40 cents per $100 on real estate. And that would be about $225,000, $240,000 based on today's figures. Be about an extra $240,000. So that's the kind of tax increase that we were looking at one time. And we just felt that the citizens of South Hill didn't need to do that right now. We did not need to ask them to do that at this point with the economy the way it is, not only in Southside Virginia, but around the whole country. We just did not feel like it would be appropriate for us to ask them to do that. And that's why we went with these other increases to offset that.
If I'm not mistaken, Vice Mayor Moody, we cut over $2 million out of the initial proposed budget.
Correct.
I mean, we have had to do things and come up with new ways to find revenue. We have deferred payments on equipment that we need. We have postponed purchasing. We're going to rent instead of purchase. You know, it is what it is, and unfortunately, you know, this is where we are.
Ms. Sheila, what was the final difference between last year's budget and this year? How much of the increase? I know I could find it in here, but
a little over $2 million.
It was a little over $2 million, correct?
Yes, just over 2 million in the general fund only.
So I want the people of South Hill to realize that a lot of work went into this to not increase real estate or personal property. Like he said, we spent almost 20 hours in here working on this, and we really went to bat for South Hill. So,
General fund went from a little over 15 million to a little over 17 million this year. And the water and sewer went up a little over, maybe 1.8, 1.5 million.
Actually, it's a little under 1 million.
A little under 800,000.
It's about 800,000.
So we had some carryover.
so the two combined are over $2 million.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's the point of what I was, so piggybacking off of everything you just said, adding that figure to it is.
Any further discussion? So Anna, we have a motion and a second. Okay, roll call please, Anna.
Fagan Spoon,
Yes.
Hardy,
Yes.
Honeycutt,
Yes.
Luster,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
and Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of council. We have two rezonings tonight. The first one has been withdrawn on request by GWP developers. They requested to be withdrawn. All right, our second one is request by JAB Holdings to rezone their two parcels behind 915, 919, 945 West Danville Street, from R140 to IG. I'd like to open the floor for public hearing. The planning commission recommended approval.
Get that out.
We need to close the public hearing.
We'll close the public hearing.
What page is that? I'm Madam Clerk.
11,
Page 11.
page 11.
Thank you.
And as Mr. Hash pointed out, this is, Mr. Barker made this request. He came to the planning commission. There's a business that has very much interest in going into the spot where we're asking the council to rezone it. And the planning commission makes the recommendation to rezone case 2023-4. And with that being said, I would make a motion that we rezone case 2023-4 as presented.
Second.
I say.
Discussion.
Okay, discussion, any discussion?
Yes, please. So David, I just want clarification. I don't know where this property is. So help me out real quick.
It would probably be best to describe across some news parkers, go down Locust Street, and it's James Barker's existing concrete plant.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
It's a land that joins that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Dave. So, under administrative reports, you have the items listed. May I have a motion to approve these items in the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Under the items for approval, under item B,
You have in your packet an item A. The town wishes to apply for a community development block grant, CDBG funds in the amount of $919,050 from the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development, DHCD, for the Nicks Lane Area Housing Rehabilitation Project. The town will waive the building permit fees totaling $525. All citizens' participation requirements will be met. A resolution needs to apply to be adopted by council. Do I have?
I'd make a motion that we accept the resolution for the Nicks Lane Area Housing Rehabilitation Project.
Can I clarify, Councilman?
Yes, sir.
In the packet, the motion requires the authorization of the mayor to sign and submit. And I just want clarification to make sure we follow the proper guidelines. That's all.
So would that not fall under the resolution?
I just want to make sure we.
Okay, so I move to adopt the resolution authorizing the mayor to sign and submit all the appropriate documentation related to CDBG funding requests from the DHCD for the Nicks Lane Area Housing Rehabilitation Project.
Thank you, Councilman.
Yes,
Do I have a second? Okay.
Discussion?
Yes.
All right, and so explain to me where this is.
Okay, I will refer to Ms. Tanner.
Hello, good evening.
If you will state your name, please.
Erica Tanner. I'm with the Southside Planning District Commission. I'll be assisting South Hill with the application administration of the grant. So we are, and I apologize, I did not make copies of the map. I didn't anticipate that question, but it is starting where Goodsbury Road and South Hill Avenue, right kind of where those townhomes are. It's going to go south to where Howerton Street is. It includes East 7th Street, Howerton Street, Sycamore Street, Nicks Lane, and then that segment of Goodsbury and West 5th Street.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And this is single family, multi-family?
Both. So we do have, we have 3 investor-owned properties, 2 of which are multifamily, and we have 4 owner-occupied rehabs. Those are single family.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second now? Okay, roll call. Thank you, Ms. Tanner.
Thank you.
Fagan Spoon?
Yes.
Hardy?
Yes.
Honeycutt?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Moody?
Yes.
Moss?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
And Taylor?
Yes.
Thank you.
I have one request for appropriation tonight. The Virginia Department of Transportation has notified the town of an increase in the amount of street maintenance funds approved for the current fiscal year. The Commonwealth Transportation Board has provided VDOT with additional funds to be distributed for street maintenance in the current fiscal year. The town expects to receive additional funding for the current fiscal year in the amount of $143,573. These funds must be used for street maintenance activities. Staff recommends using the funds for additional paving to be completed in the current fiscal year. So I would ask that you appropriate the funds in the amount of $143,573 for the stated purpose.
I move to appropriate VDOT street maintenance funds in the amount of $143,573 to fiscal year 2022-23, budget for the stated purpose.
Second.
Okay. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Have a couple things on the agenda tonight. The first thing is that we have a copy of a deed for an easement or right-of-way from Microsoft to the town of South Hill. The town requires an easement since the water meter is on Microsoft property. And in order for the town to have legal access and maintain the meter and for reading purposes, we need that easement. There's only a small part of this easement that's in your packet that you see that's for the town. The rest of it is for Roanoke River Service Authority and the tank farm that they're putting up. So tonight I would ask that you go ahead and grant this easement, have the authorization for the mayor to sign it and return it to Microsoft. And again, this is all at no cost to the town.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right, second thing, Microsoft that is on Tunstall Road, it's ABC 01, will require water service to the site. Again, going back to this water meter. Microsoft has signed separate water service agreements for their other campuses with the providers that they have, which is mainly with Roanoke River Service Authority. So the pages that you have tonight is a water agreement. And so I would ask that you authorize the mayor to officially sign this so that we can get on with the water service for the Microsoft site.
So moved.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right, the third thing I have tonight, in your package, there is information for the proposed lease of a small area on Tunstall Road at the water tower site that is owned by the town. Empire Broadband has approached the town about a lease that would be very similar to the Mid-Atlantic Broadband lease that we have right now beside the water tank. The area that they're looking at is frontage right there within the fence of the water tower. We don't have any water lines right now. The town staff has reviewed the request and approves the concept since there, again, are no water lines that have been identified there. And tonight I have Dwayne Long that can answer any questions you have about this. You have in your packet a map just showing it. Then you have a picture of the cabinet that they're looking at, which is less than 9 square feet of area that it would take up. And then you have the tax parcel map with 2 areas circled where they were looking at. They're looking at the one at the top of the photo, more specifically. So any questions, Dwayne can answer those.
Council, what's your pleasure?
Explain, what's going there? What do you want to put there?
It is a broadband cabinet to be able to serve broadband end users internet. There's a picture of the actual, and by the way, my name is Dwayne Long. I'm with Mecklenburg Electric and Empower Broadband, but we are working on a grant basically that is 14,000 locations across the 3 counties, Halifax, Mecklenburg, and Brunswick. And we're well under that, well within our project. This is a 2nd year piece. It'll actually happen probably mid to late this year, if you will. 2nd year starts in July.
In layman's terms, this box, we're just gonna call it a box. Is it mounted beside the tower, on top of the tower, under the tower?
We'll pour a small pad to the north side of the tower.
Okay.
And actually place that. We already have existing fiber in that location that we acquired from our acquisition a couple of years ago.
Yes, sir, thank you.
And I would assume, again, Microsoft and all y'all walked through all the logistics and all with them, where all of that is concerned.
Yes, sir.
Because I was down there the other day being nosy, and I didn't realize they had a gate set up, and I had to turn my little van around in the road. So I just wanted to see what was going on. Go figure. So I didn't have anything else to do, but I hadn't been back there, so. Okay.
Popular spot.
Mr. Estes, have you looked at this lease at all yet, or is it going to come to you if we pass this? Do you have any
It will
questions?
come to me.
It will come.
I think I have already seen this.
Okay.
I have seen this.
Okay.
So you've had it, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Council, I move to authorize the town to work with Empower Broadband and town attorney to review a lease agreement for the small portion of the water tower lot, and if the terms of the lease are similar to the NBC lease, and upon recommendation of the town attorney, authorize the mayor to sign the deed.
Second. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, thank you. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda tonight, on behalf of South Hill Revitalization, I would invite Kim King forward. She gave you a little presentation earlier about the mural that's going on. There will be, some welcome art that comes on that, and come on, Kim. The rendering is as Sean O'Brien's building at 233. It would be completed by the end of the school year. So,
Question,
Yes, ma'am.
this mirror on the actual wall, will it be in this smaller part up toward the front?
Yes, ma'am.
So the mirror will be much smaller than what's
Yes, ma'am.
presented to us?
Unfortunately, yes.
And that was my question, Ms. King, again, that looks like a column of brick going down, so it's gonna be forward towards the old boy dealership,
Yes.
just in that little block.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's where Sean wanted it to go.
Okay.
We had discussed it, putting it on the side, and I showed him the rendering of it imposed, and he preferred it to be over on toward the front. Of course, it's his building, so we're gonna do what he wants us to do with it.
Insurance on the bill, insurance in case anything goes wrong, is that gonna be on him?
Well, I will tell you this, we are not, the only thing we're going to do is actually have it professionally put up, and that is a part of what we had, we had appropriated some funds for that piece of it, to have it done professionally. Like we did the one right in,
Understand.
yeah,
And-
yes, sir.
And that was a question that we had with the one that's currently up, that heaven forbid if something was to happen and the mural falls, who's responsible? Does that fall on Sean? Does it fall on the town?
That's something I can check on. I've not been
Yeah.
asked that question.
Or someone run into the?
Yeah.
Mr.
I think
Attorney?
if we need to do that.
It's likely for the private property owner.
It would be the private property owner, okay,
It's like a lamppost.
good, okay.
Awning.
With the mural going in that little small section, it just seems like everything would be look clustered up in there.
Well, I think, they're basically, what you see there is a 20 by 10. And they are proportioning it, they're downsizing it proportionately. So the detail would be there. It's not quite, of course, we wanted it to be as big as we could get it. And there may still be some discussion if we could figure out how to mount it somewhere in, but like where that piece comes out. We just haven't had enough time because this just actually came up that he wanted it on that side instead of it in the where we have it imposed. So that may be something else that we would come back and discuss if we need to, because our hope was it would be big like the one across from the chamber.
Yeah.
CJ, do they have to get a sign permit for this? They do.
And I would assume all these other ones that are in town were looked at as well before they were done, to make sure they had insurance and nobody got hurt or anything, because we've had the one up at Mecum, we've had the one
We don't
here.
check on insurance.
Oh, okay. I know Howard had a little dissension look in his face when that, but again, it would fall back on the property owner itself.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Well, my question is, I guess, Howard, if that's a private building, why does this even come to council? If the sign falls within the town code of signs, does that even have to come to council for approval?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I think it's a relationship with the committee.
I understand, but I'm just asking, does it even need to happen?
But for clarity, it was requested by this council to come before council during the work session on the budget.
That's correct.
So we're following the recommendation of council. It was asked by council to come for the motion, for approval.
Ms. Harding, I must have been asleep at that 5 minutes.
I don't remember that. I'm just sitting here, that's why I'm speechless.
I was racking my brain.
It was because I, the next day, made the call to Ms. King and made the request for her to make the presentation to council for approval.
Fine, but my question is to Mr. Estes, does something like this in the future, does it even have to come to council, being that it's on private property?
Mr. Mayor, I think that you're looking at a sign ordinance, the signage ordinance. As well as the relationship with the committee. And so I think there's a symbiotic relationship to try and work together on beautification projects and work collaboratively on it.
I was just
And
questioning.
Thank you, and even the comment was made during that work session, the council would like to be made aware.
We wanted more information.
It came up when we reviewed the proposal. Okay, I think we got a little ahead of ourselves on the discussion part, but that's okay, So do I have a motion for approval?
I got one question.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So did you mention that they were hoping to have this done by the end of this school year?
No, it won't be this school year.
Okay, that's what I was
It'll be, hopefully we're gonna have it done by the end of this year.
This year, okay.
Actually, when we started this, it would have, if we'd have started back when it was first proposed, it was just a lot more to it than you would.
So I make a motion that we accept the art rendering request.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kim. And Mr. Mayor, I was just conversation, if, you know, it's a private building.
No. Okay. Staff, you have anything?
I think we was gonna talk about the solar farms tonight.
No, sir. I see a public hearing request.
Amendment to the zoning ordinance.
No, for the solar farms? Yes. Yep.
You need to make a presentation to the council.
I didn't know I was supposed to do the presentation. Well, we had a discussion the other night about the solar farms, about the table of permitted uses. That we need to change one wording, and I think Howard recommended doing a special exception for it.
Okay. And in the packet, council, you have, as Dave is referring to, the planning commission, town staff are requesting to have a public hearing in June. Am I correct, Dave?
Yes.
In reading this? Yes. To have a public hearing in June to amend section 94-1-76, table of permitted uses in the zoning code for the following items. Item 1, council, the proposed amendment adds excluding solar and wind generating. See also small wind energy systems and solar arrays and farms to the description of uses permitted as public utility generating boosters or relay station, transformer, substation, transmission lines and towers, storage yards, pipes, meters, and other facilities, and for the provisions for the maintenance of public utilities. It is also proposed to amend the use to special exemption and not by right in the IG zone of section 94.1-76 table of permitted uses. Item 2, council, the proposed amendment also adds solar arrays and farms to the description of uses permitted. It is also proposed to amend the use to special exception and not by right in the IG zone of section 94.1-76 table of permitted uses.
Mr. Mayor, I move to advertise for a public hearing on the proposed zoning amendments at the town council meeting at 7 p.m. on June 12, 2023 at Southdale Town Hall.
Second.
Okay, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, council, under reports, you see them as presented. I'll look for a motion to accept as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. So council, in your packet was an appointment for approval. The RRSA terms of Representative Glenn Allen and alternate LJ Dorniak will expire on June 30th, 2023. Both have been contacted with Mr. Allen declining to serve again. I have contacted and recommend Michael Smith to serve as the board representative. If the council so desires, the 3-year term appointments will begin July 1, 2023 and end June 30th, 2026. I would like a separate motion on each if I may. So one would be the alternate on LJ Dorniak first.
Make a motion that alternate LJ Dorniak be appointed Roanoke River Service Authority.
As an alternate?
As an alternate.
Yeah. Okay. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, in regards to the board representative, what is the council's pleasure?
Make a motion to appoint Michael Smith to the board for the 3-year term as a board representative.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I assume you accept.
He has been contacted, council. I can check that one off.
That's Lindsay.
Yeah. Other business, council. Hearing none. I want to thank each of you again for the process and your time and your commitment to our community.